Welcome to episode 418 of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. I am Dave Deacon, and we got a fun episode for you. 1975 was a big year for soon-to-be institutions known across Oklahoma. One of them actually has become one of the best-known television shows on OETA, helping folks learn how to bring a little beauty to their home through horticulture and growing healthy foods. Today, we're talking with Casey Hentges about the 50th anniversary of Oklahoma gardening and how they're celebrating their half-century landmark and her path to hosting the show. We'll get to our chat with her in just a minute, but before we do, if you're new to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast, I would personally like to welcome you and invite you to hit that follow button where you get your podcasts. Also, you can find resources about everything we talk about on this episode and past episodes on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. Let's kick off this episode with a quick trip around the table for an introduction to the dream team of dirt and everything that grows from it. Let's start with Oklahoma State University Extension Precision Nutrient Management Specialist.
We had imagination. We imagined you imagined the watermelon was ripe.
Dr. Brian Arnell. Next to him is Oklahoma State University Extension Cropping System Specialist.
You went out to Perkins and showed every single one of your plots. You had 90 treatments, so you had 90 weeks of episodes.
Dr. Josh Lofton. And before we get to our interview with Casey, we do have a quick reminder coming up, so we'll dive right into that after I use these magical words. You are listening to the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. Brian, we're going to be a part of the High Plains Journal Live event coming up in August
6th through the 8th.
Yeah.
In Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah, and people can go to that event. It's live.hpj.com. And I was going to show you. I have it up on my phone here. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you come up just a little bit. Thank you to our 2025 HPJ Live partners. What's the first one right there in the front?
It is Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. Right up top.
That? Yeah, right above the Kansas Farm Bureau and Kansas FFA and all the other ones. We are at the top of that list. And
we got a little orange above all the purple. That's beautiful.
This is going to be a really cool event. There are, just going through the list of sponsors on this, I mean, it's a very wide swath of agricultural companies and organizations that are getting in on this.
And beyond sponsors, the speakers are phenomenal and wide breadth. We're talking animal science, We're talking crop science, we're talking economics and soil health. So really great diversity of speakers, and then they throw me in there.
Well, it's nice of them to include you in on that. But you're going to be, let's actually talk about some of your talks that you're going to be doing.
Double dosing me on August 7th because, like we just mentioned, I'll be rolling in from the Corn Belt on the 6th. But for some meetings, so I get 2 talks, first invited, and then they were looking for a second. But the first one we're going to talk about is a common topic I handle, which is how do we cut inputs and maintain yield or maximize yield. And, with me, it may not necessarily be cutting inputs, it's a redirection of inputs and doing things so we get the most ROI out of our inputs. And I'll talk about nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and based upon some of the stuff that we talked last week on the podcast with Dr. Silva is, maybe our seeding rates on our wheat don't need to be where we're thinking as we move through. So I'll be taking some of the work from Silva and our program and applying it. And the second topic I'll be handling in the afternoon is biologicals in the plains or the semi-arid environment, where got a lot of fun data that we've done in Oklahoma, and then I just received all the data on a multi-state cotton project where we have 30 site years across the U.S. evaluating microbial products. And this season, we're loaded up with microbial products and biological products in corn and sorghum trials. And so we won't have yield by the 7th, but we do have plant tissue analysis and we do have soil tests from that. And we'll have some observational data.
And how many years has that been going on?
So the cotton was 2 years, but we had 15 locations each year from basically North Carolina through Arizona.
Yeah.
And so a wide swath on that one. And this year is my first year to get back into products in crops beyond cotton, so we'll have the corn and sorghum data.
This is available to the public. You can go sign up on at live.hpj.com.
Dave, I'm not the only one that's going to be out there on the big stage now, am I?
It's going to be weird. Yeah, I mean, we people travel for miles, states to come hear you speak.
Yards.
But they asked me to moderate a panel of speakers from across the region. Let's see, Alex Knoll's going to be on there, Darwin Ediger, Amy Peterson, Rod Stewart, and then me. I'll be moderating.
Well, they know you can handle egos.
I do. I'm pretty good at working with folks like that. But no, it's a high yield success. We're going to have commodity growers share lessons that they've learned throughout the growing seasons of many seasons that they have accumulated. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I deal with a lot of folks in Oklahoma and the region, so it'll be really cool to hear from other producers from other states and how they're working to increase their yields.
And not only will we be on site doing the presentations, but we'll have Doc Lofton ought to be joining us along with Dr. Sherry. And, we'll be recording, so we need people off the street, and if we make eye contact with you,
that's right.
We're going to get you.
We will be kind of like we were in Enid. We'll be teamed up with the Oklahoma Wheat Commission, and so as you're out and about at High Plains Journal Live, you see the Oklahoma Wheat Commission's booth. We're going to be right there with them, and we'll be recording up to 5 to 6 episodes, because it is a really cool opportunity to broaden out and because we talk a lot about OSU extension specialists. It'll be fun to talk with producers from all over, not only Oklahoma, but then also Kansas too. So again, you can find out more at live.hpj.com, or you can go to our website, reddirtagronomy.com, and find out more information there.
Since you're so long term and you know the family going back generations, you could introduce Casey.
Okay, yeah.
No, he doesn't know my family. He knows my married family.
Right. Well, okay, I'll do that. Casey Hentges of Oklahoma Gardening, and I'm not used to doing the intro.
You're not good at it.
I'm not.
You've never been good
Brian,
at it.
do the intro. Well, it's funny because I would always, especially this guy, I could not start a segment with Brian. Yeah. Josh, I would stumble and I'd eventually get it, but Brian, I could not introduce it.
By the way, with that, I stopped being on bloopers when you left.
Why? Why? Because I wasn't producing them, or I wasn't creating them for you?
Yes.
I've decided the intros and the close are the two hardest part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Of the show. Like, I'll do 15 takes on just one sentence trying to get it closed, but we're laughing at that point or whatever, and it's like, just get it out already.
Well, it's just getting past that initial, once you get that first question out, then it's on the specialist.
Right,
and then they can, work their way through it. It's just getting getting on first base, kind of like what that movie was.
Yeah, true.
Just got to get on. When there's 2 first base bags, you never know which one you're going to have to step on.
We've also quit saying titles because people's titles are getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then where they're at and what department and whatever. So yeah.
Well, this will work out.
He's a guy that does things. Here we go.
He does stuff with things.
And Brian, what do you do?
Well, let's turn it around this way. Yeah. Casey, what do you do?
What is your title?
What's your title?
My university academia title is a what is it? I don't even know.
Well, that failed miserably already.
Associate Extension Specialist for Consumer Horticulture. But my appointment is 100% extension, and my primary responsibility is producing the Oklahoma Gardening television show. So there's my title.
And on the side, she's doing a master's program.
A PhD.
PhD.
Come on, give me some credit. I did my master's 20 years ago. I like to lay out between school.
You like to forget how to do school between doing school.
Well, there's something to be said about pursuing a PhD when you finally know what you want to pursue, I guess,
true.
right? So
Get us caught up to date. I can't even speak.
let's get to first.
Casey,
I'm
can
done.
you tell us
Okay.
about,
I'm done.
So one of the things I want to tell you guys about,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Hey, that works really well too.
Okay. So yes, as hosting of Oklahoma Gardening,
Yeah.
I'm really privileged. So this is actually my 10th season, which is kind of crazy to
Has
think
it
about.
been 10 years?
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm the longest running host.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
I thought Steve Owens had.
no, he was like at 7 years.
Okay.
I think 6 or 7 years, and then Kim was 7 or 8 years, and then now I'm in my 10th season.
That's cool.
So. Yeah, so I guess I know what I'm doing now. But my background is not TV. It's
Yeah.
They always hire horticulturists to host the gardening show so that we can kind of do that how-to backyard gardening for consumers and stuff like that. And then we also go around the state and kind of get a feel for what else is going on in the industry or nurseries or just home gardens because you guys know how diverse Oklahoma is. And so we want to make sure that we're portraying that north, south, east, west, and not just focused on what's happening here in Stillwater. So it is an amazing opportunity to be able to do that. I love that. And like you guys hosting this podcast, you get to talk to so many different specialists about their particular area. And so when we do have disease or pest problems, I try to get the specialists to be on there and kind of address those because I'm a little bit more of a generalist, right? So I can tell you kind of some of the main things to be doing in your garden, your landscape, and I'm aware of that. But if there's some disease problem that's really striking the home garden, then we want to make sure we get somebody from plant pathology on there or something like that to address that because they know their specialty better than anything, which is fun because then I get to learn from all of the specialists that we talk with. So
From a former TV guy that used to be just down the hall from Oklahoma Gardening, it was fun to talk with the specialist because I got to learn, like you say, I got to learn about the importance of soil nutrition and crop rotation and different things with livestock. I had the difference of I came in with very limited knowledge. You came in with a pretty strong background in horticulture.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of talk about where all you have been in your horticultural career.
Oh, wow. Well, it's been a little bit all over the place. I think I might be ADHD or whatever
Right.
that is. And this show has probably made me worse about that because I can talk about anything for 5 minutes, I say, because that's how long our segments are.
That's good.
So, yeah. So actually, I am a graduate from OSU. I graduated in 2002. And then when I left here with a undergrad in horticulture, I went down to Dallas, Texas, and I did commercial landscaping. So
okay.
I worked down there for 3 years, running crews, trying to speak Spanish a little bit. But it really gave me a good understanding. And I managed a lot of HOA associations and stuff. The Gaylord Texan was one of my big properties. So I got to be on that through the finishing of the construction to actually managing it for a year. And so that was quite an opportunity. And then where'd I go after that? Oh, after that I realized it's commercial landscaping is intense and it wasn't necessarily about the horticulture care. And what I realized is when I was working on properties, the property managers wanted, and the people that I talked with and interacted with, they wanted to know what was going on in the landscape. And so I just really liked conveying that information to them. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I liked the education aspect of it. And so from there, I went up to my master's degree at Longwood Gardens. So I was in the Longwood graduate program up there through the University of Delaware. If you haven't been to Longwood Gardens, it's like the premier botanical garden.
Wow.
It's the DuPont estate.
Wow.
So,
Okay. The
yeah.
DuPont estate.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that money?
I know that estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that money. I didn't know the Longwood. That's-
So I went up there. I had the privilege of being up there for 2 years. It's just a fabulous space to feel like you can just kind of be there all the time. So that was an amazing opportunity. From that, I ended up coming back here to Oklahoma and working for 5 years in Canadian County as the first horticulture educator in that county.
Oh, wow.
So I really enjoyed that experience. I started the Master Gardener program there and everything and worked a lot with 4-H because 4-H was really big in that county. So it was a great opportunity to have that county extension experience. But I'd always wanted to work at a botanical garden. And so Myriad Gardens had just gone through their renovation. So in 2011, they had basically been closed down for a year. That 15-acre park right downtown Oklahoma City. And it was not the year to close down and move trees, because it was the year we had 60 degrees over 100 degrees, 60
that.
days
Yeah.
over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And so I basically started there in 2012 as the director of horticulture. And it was like, you have a brand new landscape that had just gone through a horrendous summer. And so there was a lot of just fixing some of that landscape, because we had some dieback and we had some improper probably plant choices and selection and stuff like that. So I was there for 3 years managing that property. And it was a good experience to kind of have that opportunity to know about public garden management, nonprofit public management, which was what my master's degree was really focused on, is nonprofit management, more so than horticulture, but in that botanical garden world. Because a lot of people don't realize that a botanical garden is like a museum. It's just a collection of plants rather than a collection of art. So you have to learn about accessioning, de-accessioning, record keeping, curating, all of that aspects. And then we did a lot of events. So we had Pumpkinville, so it was a little intense because it was a landscape that was just heavily used, right? And so they had just built the Devon Tower. We had Devon employees coming out doing boot camp on our lawns and all of that stuff. I would get to work and find that our ryegrass had a boot camp doing suicides back and forth on it and things like that. Our fescue, not our rye, our fescue. And so it was just things like that you were like, what's today's challenge?
What's today's disaster?
And when I landscape, like, it's my personal, I take it on personally, right? And I'm like, so imagine waking up to your front yard and all of a sudden you're like,
you want to be the old man on the porch.
There might have been days like that, yeah. So no, it was fun. But I had experienced the Myriad Garden before I worked there, so I knew the value of what it offers to the community and all that stuff. And so, so it was a great opportunity. But then I met a farmer.
A Noble County farmer.
The best kind, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So I met a farmer, and it's like, okay, do I want to keep driving to, because you can't move the farm.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a 5th generation farm.
Yeah.
So am I going to drive down to Oklahoma City, or maybe Stillwater's a little closer? And so that's when I applied for this position. It worked out really well. And so I've been here for 10 years now.
10 years.
And then 5 years ago, I started a PhD program. So
yeah.
So
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
I think I have to get it done in 9 is my,
ma'am.
when my clock runs out. So
keeping on with Oklahoma gardening, this year's kind of a big year for the show, right?
It is. It is our 50th anniversary. So I'm very excited about that. I'm excited that I get to kind of be in the driver's seat at the moment during that, but I am always saying this is not my 50th anniversary. There's so many people that have got it to this point, and so we're bringing a lot of those people back out of retirement.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, we had a Oklahoma gardening documentary called Rooted in Oklahoma.
That was very good.
So we had a big kind of premiere of that at the Little Theater back in March, and that was fun. You can find that on our YouTube channel, Oklahoma Gardening YouTube. Really good documentary that kind of showcases the history, because Oklahoma Gardening used to be filmed live down at OETA.
Oh, it was live show.
Yes.
I've been wanting to watch this,
Yeah.
so I don't know this. So I'm going to be asking stupid questions that are probably shown.
Okay, well, it's a good teaser that way. Yeah.
Right.
Let people know.
So recorded live.
Yes. So Joe Maxon and Raymond Kays were the two kind of first hosts of the show back in 1975 and 1976 is when it really got started. And so they would have to go down there and film live. And so you got to think, there was not internet. There was not, there was a television channel that you got all your information, and maybe a Southern Living magazine, right? That got handed around at the garden clubs and things like that. And so that's how people got their information back then. And so it was kind of really crucial to be able to provide gardening information to people with this television show. And so that's how they started. And then, in fact, Ray Campbell then later on was a host. And he has a funny story that he shares with us about, he was filming a segment, again, it was live, about how to pick a ripe watermelon. And so he took his watermelon down there and he was doing all this, explaining you're looking for the tendril to dry out, and so that there's no more water going into that. And so that's kind of you thump it, looking for all those things, right, that we hear about. And so he says that, and then he cuts it and speaking to the camera, and he's like, and then that's how you know it's a ripe watermelon. And so then they cut, show was over, and the videographer was like, you never turn the watermelon towards me. And he said, I know, it's because it's not ripe.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for this is how you tell it's a ripe watermelon. Turn it just completely white all the way through.
So, there's still things like that happen. And of course, we've all had those unripe watermelons, even given all the characteristics that we look for. But so this year, actually, what we're going to do is sort of recreate some of those infamous segments with some of the previous hosts. And so I think we're looking at taking Steve Owens maybe down to Horn Canna Farm, because 20 years ago he went down there and visited with them. And then we've got one lined up with Brenda to go to a cut flower farm that she visited 20 years ago, or maybe not that long ago. And so anyway, so we're kind of recreate some of those segments, and we're interjecting some of the old segments in with as we air the new segments.
Awesome.
So
I like that.
So you kind of get some of that history.
So. I've been wondering, as you look at this, and we do extension all the time, and in our annual meetings we do, and I do a meeting once a year, the winter crop school, and I have a hard time keeping it what I think is fresh. How do you maintain a fresh program after 50 years of programming on the topic of Oklahoma gardening?
Yeah.
Well, we're very diverse. 50 years with, how many episodes a year do you do?
We do about 36 shows a year.
36 shows a year over 50. That's a lot of numbers. How do you keep it fresh?
Yeah. And that's what, like, when I first came on, I was like, I've got this brilliant idea. And I was working with two people that had worked with the show for 20 years, and they were like, oh yeah, we remember doing that. I'm like, dang it. Like, I could never come up with an original idea. And the thing is like, you've probably have heard somebody talk about nitrogen before, right? Like, and I know I'm simplifying because you've made a whole career out of nitrogen, but you've heard somebody talk about nitrogen efficiency here, and you've heard somebody talk about and they present it differently. So you can have the same information, but people present it differently, and it's received differently based off of that presenter. So that's something I always keep in mind. It's good to refresh it. It's good to go over it. The other thing is, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's spring. We got to tell people how to plant a tomato again,
Yeah.
But you have to remember that there's always new people that maybe have just bought a home. Maybe they've just discovered that they like tomatoes. Maybe they just now have discovered gardening, or they're got confidence to maybe go buy it, and what do I do with it? And they need somebody to walk them through that process. And so I heard somebody tell me one time, like, every August, the news is always like, guess what, everybody? School's back in season. Make sure you're mindful of the school zones and that sort of stuff. And it's just a reminder. So we all know we need to slow down. That's not news necessarily, but they always say it because it's always like, oh, I needed that reminder. And so, in April, we have to remind people, hold off. I know you want to plant late March, early April, like, just easy. And so we all need those reminders about different subject matter.
So I tell you, it's a big deal. The old wives' tales, and the kind of the rules of thumb. And if you go on Facebook, everybody's going to tell you how to grow a tomato or something like that. How, especially in horticulture more than a commercial ag, how do you combat that kind of, I don't want to call it all misinformation, but just weird information that's not quite right, that has some truth to it, or maybe something that we thought 20 years ago was correct, but now we know it's not.
Right.
You mean like vinegar and?
I knew where this was going.
Don't throw me down that one.
I mean, Do you guys address those kind of things? I don't watch the show often because I don't watch a whole lot of things often, but
he's not for education.
Golly. I'll buy you a tomato plant. See,
I hate tomatoes, so don't do that. But we can cut some watermelons open. But like, how do you guys readily address those kind of things? Do you steer away from? Do you just talk in generalities? I mean, how do you go on? Like I said, horticulture seems like everybody has an opinion how you do things,
right? Because
everybody can grow a garden,
right? Everybody, just go to our YouTube channel and read some of the comments. Everybody has an opinion. So we do address some of those, not all of them, because it's like we would be chasing after sometimes lunacy, right? If we did that. So our point is to sort of stand in the science and the research and the knowledge that we know. Now there's sometimes where things have changed in that science, right? And so like there might have been a segment from 30 years ago saying, hey, plant Bradford pears. They're great. All this stuff, right? It's a new plant. It blooms also. Like, I don't know. But, then we realize something, right? And so then we go back and we kind of say, hey, you know what? We're learning, obviously, this is invasive and not one to plant. Have you looked at Mexican plum? And so we give alternatives to some of those situations. Now, on cases like grandma told me to put vinegar, 2 parts vinegar, whatever, 1 part salt
Epsom
out
salt,
there.
Vinegar,
yeah, right. And then, and so to go out there and put that on there, people who want to believe that are going to believe that, right? And then there's people that are hearing that and like, oh, should I try that? They're curious about it. And it's those people that I want to kind of speak the other side to. And so we've done that a couple of different ways. One of the ones that comes to mind right now that's actually getting a lot of traction. I did it 5 years ago. It was during COVID. And one of the things we were like, everybody's always wanting to know how to start a new garden. And I love watching those gardening shows from the north where they're like, what you do is you go dig up the grass and then you put compost in and you start planting your plants. And I'm like, that easy. Just dig up the grass, right?
You poke through the clay. Posthole diggers.
And it's like, they're nice clumping grasses that are cool season are not going to return where they dug it up. But our Bermuda grass is just going to come back with a vengeance, right? And so what I was doing was a segment on how to get rid of Bermuda grass, how to establish a garden. And so this is what happened is I went to Dr. Moss at the time and I said, hey, who's a turf professor at the time. I said, do you have some grass I can kill? I need to kill some grass. I want to solarize it. I want to show them this way, because there's a lot of talk about Roundup and things like that, obviously, too. And so we were looking at just more of a natural approach to do that. And then when you have a conversation with a researcher about like, hey, I just have a simple segment I want to do, it turned into a 96 plot trial. And
I remember that trial.
It wasn't okay. It was. I should say the word demonstration as I speak to researchers here. It was more of a demonstration than an actual research trial, but we didn't run statistics on it or anything like that. But it was about 15 different, and we did 3 reps of it, but it was 15 different chemicals and then 13 different mechanical treatments. And then we had some controls in there too. And so we used a lot
sounds like a weed science problem.
So this is what he did to entice me down the PhD route, I think, was like, try this. Isn't this fun? And so anyway, we looked at different, Roundup, some of the different vinegar options, some of the OMRI listed products as far as the chemical things. And then we looked at cardboard and we looked at mulch and we looked at solarization and occultation, which is a black plastic you put to shade it out. And then we looked at sorghum Sudan to just like rob resources and things like that. And so we have all this. We wrote a fact sheet up about it. We got like a whole series of videos out of this and basically, and it worked out really well because the timing was great because it was during COVID. Yeah. And so I would just go out there to Perkins and kind of talk about all of this by myself. And so, but I'm actually going to give a talk at next summer. Somebody's already asked me to come down and present about this. And so we found that, I kind of don't like talking about this because it's like the only answer we found was persistence is what kills Bermuda grass. It is. It really is. So whether you're using Roundup at one shot is not, and I should say glyphosate now because Roundup has, anyway, that's a whole nother podcast, but glyphosate. Glyphosate is not a one and done treatment on Bermuda grass, and neither is hand pulling or using, tillage or putting down cardboard. Like, those are all going to be this ongoing thing. So you have to look at what your resources are, whether it's time, whether it's money, what is your expectations of, like, what's your timeline of how quickly you want this done. And so you have to take those into consideration. And so we sort of have like this flow chart of like, do you want organic? Are you okay with chemical? And walk people through maybe what time of year are you doing this? Because you're not going to do solarization in the wintertime. That's the summertime. And then there might be a combination of those factors. Maybe you initially start with glyphosate and then you go to solarization and then you do, another application of something later on. And so it's just looking at, it's not a one solution answer. And I think a lot of times people want a one solution answer, understandably, but it's complicated.
By the way,
get them tomato plants.
Yeah. By the way, if you ever want a soil scientist to come and talk about the vinegar and Epsom salt and its influence on soil quality and soil health, I am happy to.
Okay, all right.
We've actually, the fun thing is that
I'm going to have you on Oklahoma Gardening doing that.
All
then.
in.
Okay.
Working with local programs from Morrison to Stillwater, doing more agri-science. And it's fun because my kids are at that age, right?
Yeah.
So I actually have one young lady who's been doing agri-science on the herbicides and influence on the soil. And unfortunately, one year that she was supposed to do the control, using the control of these different things, the home remedy versus glyphosate versus that, something happened and all the plants died. I mean, they're supposed to die, but, a lot of these don't kill. They just
kill
right?
the vegetation, yeah.
Well, so what do? We can measure the soil. So we did the soil health analysis that we've talked about quite a bit on the soils that had the home remedy versus non-home remedy. And that's some fun little data, and it's replicated.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Well, and I think that's some of the stuff. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of all that because, again, that is a whole nother podcast. But, some of the stuff, and you guys know this in your world, but it's like, balancing the organic versus non-organic, because if you were to go organic and just say, okay, I'm just going to put manure applications out there, well, then you could actually have too much phosphorus out there or potassium on your soils, right? And so then you have a problem with that. And so we're giving away a tiller currently. I want to share that with your crowd.
Okay.
Like, if anybody, I'm not switching subjects, but I got in trouble for offering a tiller because that ruins soil, right? And so
so now you have to give it away.
Right. I got to give it away. Like, tilling is not necessarily bad. There's a time and a place for that, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying to just do it, but that doesn't mean we need to get rid of all tillers in the world. And so
you'll like this, Casey. I do a lot of master gardeners on the soils, and part of that is many of them offer the soil test, and then I come in after the soil test has been revealed, right? So I get to talk about their soil test. Consistently, a third of those would what we would zone as environmentally hazardous because of the values. Like, I've never seen numbers this high.
Yeah.
But 30 years of composting a tomato patch.
Right.
Yeah.
It can raise your
phosphorus is higher than we would typically think that calcium could get.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, and so I think we need to make sure we're not just, I'm in this mode of operation and this is how I'm always going to be, because that's what I've seen. So when I was in the county level, I think I got a lot more like hands-on experience with dealing with consumers because that was your job, right? And so I think it was very valuable information. But this time of year, I always had people coming in saying, my lawn is not looking good. Why is my lawn not looking good? And it would always be one of two factors. It really would. So first of all, we'd kind of dig around and see if we could find white grubs, because right now white grubs are starting to come up and they'll be nibbling on those roots, and you got problems with that. But that's a simple like identification out in the field. You can see if you can have white grubs or not. And the next thing I'd be like, when have you last tested your soil? Let's test your soil. And it always came back as a pH problem. And so it was like, they were like, well, we're just fertilizing. And so it's like their pH would be too low because they just have been fertilizing. And so I'd pull out that little chart. It's one of my favorite charts, the pH showing the nutrients availability at different pHs and stuff like that. And so I would show that to them and I'd say, you can put all the fertilizer in the world on the ground, but if it's not at the right pH, the plant can't take it up. And so that's what the problem was. Usually we'd talk about adjusting your pH and then go on from there. So
you kind of have mentioned it. I mean, stepping away from the scientific side of things, but like you running the actual program, several challenges during COVID. How did you come up or overcome something? I mean, very similar to where we did Sun Up and, you know, to where you couldn't interact with a lot I mean, how did you keep that ball going?
Yeah, so
you went out to Perkins and showed every single one of your plots.
Here's number 1.
Treatments,
Here's
so you had
number
90
2.
weeks of episodes.
Maybe not our best views. No, we did do some of that. Then also our videographer had been with the show for 20 years. And so he took it upon himself. So some of our specialists that we work with that are regulars on our show, they know how to do it. They don't necessarily need me there. So since we were kind of in that quarantine, like, what's that called? Separation? What do we have to do? Yeah.
Social distance.
There we go. Thank you. I've lost the term already. We were in that social distancing time. And so I couldn't be right next to him hosting. So he would just go and be with them. But we did it a lot of times at their homes. Like there's me like doing vegetable gardening in my backyard. And I was like, we're going to build a vegetable garden today. And so like there's some shows where I'm in my backyard out on our farm putting together a garden and stuff. And then there's some of Jen Olson, I think, by her driveway, talking about some of the fruit trees that she has. And so we really were scrambling to kind of make that work. But we knew it was important to keep it going because honestly, COVID was good for the horticulture industry. Because people were like, I want to go somewhere. I want to see something. And horticulture is an agriculture entity. So they were able to stay open, the nurseries and things like that. And so they kind of saw a boom. And all of a sudden people were like looking at their backyard and thinking, we need to landscape it or we need to grow our own food because I couldn't find it at Walmart now. And so it kind of brought people back to a reality of like, hey, we need to be a little more self-sustaining here.
And we need to grow chickens. Lots of chickens.
Backyard chickens.
That's what I think. Everybody became a bread maker and a chicken tender.
That's true.
Well, my kind of joke is I should have taken up making sourdough bread. The bread would have been done now. Instead, I decided to start a PhD.
Bread would have been done now. I would have been on my 3rd loaf by now.
I know. The bread would have been done now.
Poor decisions we all made during COVID.
What was I thinking?
Well, from a production standpoint, I remember Kevin Gregg and I and everybody in AgCom at the time, just kind of whenever COVID hit, it was like a sideswipe. We went, okay, we do the show out in the public, and now we have to take a step back and really get creative. And I mean, both Sun Up and then Oklahoma Gardening, both. I mean, I remember we took a week off. We were like, we have to regroup, and Kevin and Oklahoma Gardening did the same thing, and we just got creative and, like you say, went to the backyard and learned how to build a garden in the backyard. But to the credit of Oklahoma State University Extension Service, I mean, they kept going. And they knew, I mean, all the way up to the top. Dr. Kuhn said, we got to keep this going. We got to keep this machine moving. And
well, they knew people needed us more than ever during that time, right? Whether it was safety issues or
just a distraction.
Agriculture type stuff. A distraction. And so one of the things too, we brought Shelly Mitchell on a little bit more during that time because it was like, what can you do with your kids in your garden? So I think it was an opportunity, like kids weren't in school. And so how do we make gardening a educational learning activity, And so it was just like, let's figure out all these sort of ways to help people. So,
Oklahoma Gardening has done a lot in 50 years. I mean, to be able to start out in the backyard of OETA and if I remember correctly, they had to like roll the studio cameras outside for some of the things.
Yeah, we have some pictures of that. Yeah.
I remember Kevin saying, they would take these massive, expensive cameras and take them out as far as the cord would go, and that's where the garden was. And so they would do whatever they had to do there, wheel them back inside, and hope nothing broke. But just
what year did Kevin start with Oklahoma gardening? Do you remember? Was it
he
in the early 80s?
In the 90s.
Yeah,
okay.
in the 90s. Yeah.
Sorry.
But from a technological standpoint, go from that to the shoulder mount cameras where the guys and the production team could go from the Panhandle all the way down to Southeast Oklahoma. That really gave access to more gardening folks across the state because of the tours that went on. And this is the Panhandle. This is Northeast Oklahoma. This is how they grow, just to show the diversity of our state and the gardens. And like you say, everybody has the opportunity to plant a garden and enjoy the benefits thereof. And Oklahoma gardening has been a staple to broaden that joy of gardening throughout the state for 50 years.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that has changed is the technology. And so some of that, like, okay, you did that segment already, that topic, but you did it in, you could tell me better, what's the square standard definition?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you go back and watch some of those videos, I can't tell what the plan is she's talking about. I'm like, how did we all see back then? And so now
we had imagination. We imagined it was we imagined the watermelon was right.
Right.
We filled in the blanks. Yeah.
So when I started, they started shooting in 4K.
Yep.
OETA still doesn't air in 4K necessarily, but our YouTube channel is in 4K. If you change it on your settings.
One of the two. You guys have two, the classics.
We have the classics, which isn't in 4K.
Right.
And we have OK Gardening Classics, which is our before Kim, and then Kim and I are on the more traditional. So the thing about technology, yes, it has dramatically changed. And then we got a drone. And so all of a sudden now we're like, when we go to a home garden, we'll throw up the drone and like you see a garden and homeowners love seeing their garden from a drone, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it just gives such a different perspective to a landscape a lot of times. And then the other thing is back in, I can't remember the exact year. I think it was 2010 or 2012 that we started our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
And then, Facebook and all of this stuff. And so like none of the other previous hosts have had to really deal with the social media side of things.
Right.
And so that's something that we're dealing with and managing. And so it really has opened the world to something beyond just Oklahoma gardening too. And so, we get views from all over, whether it's somebody who used to live here and now they live somewhere else and they just want to see Oklahoma again, or it's somebody's like, how to plant a tomato. Maybe the timing is different, but the fundamentals of how to do it are universal, right? And so we've got viewers from all over the world that like watching our shows and comment on that and stuff. So, it's pretty interesting. So we get, 3 or 4 million views a year now.
That's pretty
on
cool.
YouTube from that. So
that's almost red dirt numbers.
I was going to say just shy of red dirt. Yeah.
Take away about 6 zeros over there.
Right. But hey, it's fun.
It's fun.
But and that's one thing I loved about doing the show was the interaction globally. Mm-hmm. And we would get the occasional viewer from Australia asking about cattle markets here in the U.S. and how that impacted them. And then we would speak to them. Mm-hmm. We'd have a viewer from, Clyde from Australia was asking this. This was what and this is my answer, and we would answer on the show. And it builds that relationship globally. And with 3 to 4 million views a year, you guys are reaching not only Oklahoma, which is your primary audience,
right.
but also, like you say, people in New England learning how things grow down here.
Yeah.
Talk about your show's demographics, not only with television, but also over the different medias that it's on.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty actually equal male female. Mm-hmm. And it is that sort of 25 to it's going to be a wider range, 25 to 50 range, I would say. So it's that new homeowner, or, parent sort of thing. We do obviously have still of a following that maybe is older, but that's a little less that's probably on YouTube.
Right.
So that's our YouTube numbers. I have a hard time getting real analytics out of OETA, just because it's aired in that way, and that's fine. And so we kind of know our viewership, but we don't necessarily know the demographics that are watching that. So, but I would imagine Oklahoma. But actually OETA airs in Arkansas, Kansas, kind of Texas area too. And so I get views, people saying that they watch it on OETA from surrounding states as well. So yes, we do hear that. And people have asked me, I'm going to kind of answer a question you didn't ask, but
I'll ask her that afterwards and edit it in.
There you go. Got to be friendly to the editor. They can make you say whatever they want. People have asked, like, do you do kind of address questions on television or that sort of stuff? And we don't usually do that. I just have never seen that. Like, I guess people come and say, why is my tomato dying? Right. And I'm like, I need all this other information and I can't give you a good answer. And I feel like when I've seen people do that on a gardening show, I'm like, that was kind of a weak answer. And so it could be this, it could be that, it could be that, and so I've just never wanted to go down that sort of realm for that sort of thing. But wait, hey, can I tell you though, we're giving away a tiller
again.
We're back at tiller.
So if people want to register for this tiller,
yes, so they go to our website.
Yeah, we'll put a link to it on our
perfect.
website.
Thank you. So yes, they can go to our website. But right now, for the 50th anniversary, we've been filming a lot with the student farm.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that food goes to our Daily Bread, the food resource center here in Payne County. And so we also have a history on the show doing Plant a Row, which is where you plant a row to give to your local food bank. So we were challenging our viewers to plant a row to also give to their food pantry. And so if you go to our website, we have different food pantries that you can go and distribute to. They love fresh vegetables and produce. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be a bag of zucchini every week or something like that. But if you go on there and you register how much you're donating, or you have donated, then that you get signed up automatically into a raffle to win a free tiller. So we want to encourage people to do that.
And you have a shirt available.
Oh, yes.
Oh, how did we not talk about that? So, sorry.
Mind blowing.
Just blew out the mics.
Well, this works out well because it's with Eskimo Joe's.
It is. And
it's their 50th.
Yeah. There's a lot of 50s. Something about 1975. SNL.
Yeah, you're right.
50th anniversary. Martin Park down in Oklahoma City's 50th anniversary. So, yeah. Eskimo Joe's 50th anniversary. So, I actually, it was like 2 years ago. I was like, we're going to have a 50th anniversary shirt. I've been planning this year for a long time. And so I was like, probably longer than my PhD. I was like, we're going to have a t-shirt. Who makes the best shirts around here? We've got to get a Joe shirt. And so I knew they did these co-branded shirts they've done with different philanthropic efforts and stuff like that. And so Stan Clark is an amazing, very gracious person. And so he liked our idea and our pitch because I was like, all of your marketing says eat fresh, eat local, which is what you do in the backyard garden.
Nice.
Yes, so we have a shirt. It is available on their website or at their stores. And some of the proceeds go to Oklahoma Gardening and also the student farm. So we're very excited about that. And I was just like, you have a hiking shirt. You have all these other shirts. You never have had a gardening shirt. Like, gardening's like the number one hobby amongst people. So yeah.
Well, that's
and it's
really
just
cool.
A great souvenir.
Yeah.
If you know somebody who's gardening, you want an Oklahoma souvenir, like Oklahoma gardening.
There you go.
So yeah.
Well, Casey, thank you so much for coming on with us and say hey to Heath and the in-laws for me.
Yes, will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening in on this conversation of the Red Dirt Agronomy Podcast. And if you'd like to join the next discussion, leave us a message on our website, reddirtagronomy.com. Or you can always send us a tweet. Our handle is reddirtag. We would like to thank the host of Oklahoma Gardening, Casey Hentges, for joining us on this episode of the podcast. And again, if you get a chance, visit our website, reddirtagronomy.com, to find out more information about our guests and how to win that rototiller and any of the resources that we discussed today on the podcast. For Dr. Josh Lofton, Dr. Brian Arnell, I am Dave Deacon, and we all want to thank you for listening. The proceeding is a copyrighted recording of Agnow Media, LLC, 2025. And yes, all rights are reserved.